Here we are, ready for another art rant. How to start sketching with oil paint. What I do is, as you can see, I start on a tone canvas. I buy these canvases already stretched with one layer of gesso. Then I put two layers of gesso over and to remove the linen texture and maybe create some texture that I choose myself, which I paint in or do with the gesso. And then I put over a layer of raw umber, usually from Winsor Newton. I think that is the most neutral one. And with turp, and I'll thin layer, let it dry a little bit for a day, and then I start painting over. How to sketch roses from Natura with photo. Well, in this one, if you see the original video, you can see how I do it. And the difference between painting something from a photo and from Natura is you are overwhelmed by way more information. When the motif is 3D, it is actually more difficult. Yeah, it is basically more difficult. If it is a portrait, it's even worse. But because of this, it's also 3D. It, of course, is better training for your eyes. So I would recommend to do both. I would recommend to do still lifes, paint self-portraits from mirror, paint portraits of live people, and also do photo. Because the good thing about doing it from a photo is that you have a model that doesn't go away. Also, these roses are very quickly dying because they are the natural kind you pick outside. It's not the fabricated ones. So that is why I also painted this painting in one go, because I knew that these roses wouldn't last maybe for more than 1 or 2 days, and then it was gone. And actually they even changed while I was painting. Brain health and challenge of sketching. Yeah, that's also a very good topic, which I also talk about in the longer video, or the original, not original file, but the file with the voiceover. As you age, or as a human being, you have 100 billion neurons in your head. And they have up to 30,000 connection to other neurons, so you can do the math. It's amazing. And when you do art or do sketching or do anything like this, you are pushing the limits of these neurons. They are connecting, they are building, and you are actually building a stronger brain. And if I would recommend anything to people, it is doing some artwork or something that is difficult, not this abstract expressionism stuff, because it doesn't challenge your brain in the same way. It will be, of course, it's also challenging, but you don't have an object which you are trying to absorb and get into the canvas. So it's way more complex to doing figurative art than abstract things, which has absolutely no objective scale to scale the quality of it from. So without a scale, you can't really know if you're doing it right, can you? So, and colors, of course, you can look at the colors, say what's a good blend and stuff like that, but it's not the same challenge. So do it from, Does doing art matter? Yeah, that is, well, it matters very much on a personal level. For me, for my case, it created a situation where I opened up to my inner child, and it made me a better person over time. All the time you are using in the creative space, you are ruminating, you're thinking about life, existence, and everything. And that way you can actually get some spare time just to calm down and think about shit that is happening in your life. So yes, it can actually make you a better person. It didn't make Adolf Hitler a better person, but who knows if he got into the academy, he would have become an artist and actually a way better person. And as he would have met people and created, maybe he would have opened up to his inner lost child and even battled his own narcissism, which led to this. So yeah, it's good for ruminating, it's good for thinking, and if you are the kind of person who are ruminating a lot, this is what you should do, okay? How to paint wet in wet. Yeah, that is also something I talk about in the original file. You have to, it's like playing the piano. You can't play with one tone, you can't one pressure. So you have to learn how to, when you have put some wet paint on the canvas or wet brushwork, you have to learn how to take another layer without ruining the layer underneath. So we have to learn how to basically the pressure. That's how you do it. Painting the rose wet and wet. Okay, yeah, I can continue that what I was saying. It's the same thing as you can see here. I go in with paint, and then I go. Of course, I keep the darker spots more down, and I add thicker color on the in the light areas to create also that sculptural thing. Now, this is a one-layer painting, so I couldn't actually go over it and over it and over it again. But what you do is, as I said, you hold the brush light and you almost like just bounce it in. You just have to figure it out. Brushwork on the rose up close, yeah. Okay, I can continue to... Here you can actually see the thicker layers of color and how I now go in between. First I put in some thick layers, then I go in between and I add in more shadows, as you can see. So as I go then adding more valeur or shadows around the thick areas become even more sculptural. And then I, of course, go over the thicker areas with more paint. But as I say, you have to be very careful when you do one layer, because you can easily do too much, and what happens then is that you just get a mush, or you get something that is undefined and overworked. So in this painting you actually have to be careful not to overwork it. In general, I don't think that is a thing, that you can actually overwork a painting, because I don't think that is possible. The more subjective matter, the more you correct, the more you add, the more you extract, the better it will come. Sooner or later, you will come to a point where it's almost impossible to see where to go, and that is your skill wall. And you must reach your skill walls to get better. Does brushwork create character? That's basically the same question as I act. Yes, it does. It will push you. Well, there are people. There are people that I know or knew that couldn't really go deeper because they didn't have the openness, the willingness to kill their own darlings. So you can say you need to have this need to get better. You need to have the honesty and the strength to fail. And if you have that and you keep doing painting, you will basically fail so many times that you get used to failing, and you will handle failing better. There are times where I have thrown the palette right into the wall, basically like Donald Duck throws and hits the TV to get it to work. And that is because maybe I have almost been finished with something, and I just was going to do something small with an eye or something, and I just couldn't get it right, and I ruined everything, and it became a mush, as I say, and I had to wait until it dried and do it over again. And that can happen, but it also happens less and less as you go along. So what do we have here? There was no overskrift. Anyway, as you can see here, now you can see I'm going in between here, and I add more and more darkness around the thick colors. It's very scary to do this painting, because I knew that if I it was a challenge I gave myself to do this, because usual I let things dry and I are more safe, but in this I wasn't safe at all. I just hoped I could do it. Also back then, this was, I think it was summer 2013 or 12, I'm not really 100% sure. I think it was 12 or 13. And then I guess I had more energy back then because I was younger. But I should do this again. I should start challenge myself this more. As you can see here, I just add more and more color. And as I go along in this, I became more and more careful. I still, even at this level, I still started to change some small things, but kind of smaller and smaller things. If I would call this a good sketch. If I see people only doing this, and if you're only doing this all the time, you will actually get incredibly good at it. Better and better, actually, to choose the right brushwork to explain the shapes and stuff. So you can get way better at it, but it will limit you. If you only do one layer paintings and you never go further, you will never go into the real deep sculptural substance which Rembrandt and the classics did. Touch up brushwork all over. Now you can see the result here. It's quite beautiful. It was actually sold to a woman in New York. I think it was New York she lived in, and right after she bought this painting of me, her name was Sky. I actually show a picture of her in the original file. She died right after, and she loved this painting, but she sadly died right after. She had the complications of a lot of stuff, so that's actually in America now, and it's sad actually, because she was a lovely woman. Sky Ladonge, her name was. Really funny woman. Anyway, here you can see I'm doing the last brushwork here, and just, yeah. You know, when I do these things, I'm on the dance floor. That is the beauty of it. It's like dancing. It's just amazing. It is. And when I can't do it, sometimes I'm so distracted because I have my ADHD and I have my hypomania, and I can do so many things just to avoid starting. And when I start, I'm just in heaven. I'm home. It's like, honey, I'm home. And it's so weird that, because of course it is a challenge also. Painting is a challenge. And if you're doing difficult things like portraits, especially if it is commission work, portraits or anything, it is really harder to get started, because you have all the responsibility of likeness, you have all the responsibility of getting it finished, and then on top, it's not really necessarily what you would like to spend your time on, so you can actually, it can be hard to do. So try to save your money and just start doing things. Okay, see you in the next segment. Started 4 o'clock in the morning. Now it's 12:30 in the daytime. So I used actually 8.5 hours going all the way. And my back is killing me and my head is just overwhelmed. But I think it became quite nice actually, being
for being the first sketch. Yeah. People asking about texture and stuff. Maybe I could focus it a little bit. That's strange. Yeah, like that. Here you see the texture. How I have been painting it layer by layer by layer by layer. Fascinating process. Yeah. 8.5 hours. And I'm really tired. It's a beautiful feeling. I think I surprised myself a little bit. Probably gonna do a little bit touch up tomorrow, but like kind of give it a little bit more, say, contrasts. But yeah, was it just supposed to be a impressionist painting anyway? So anyway, here I am, tired, really tired. Well, as it says on my mirror, love is great, God is not, and we just have to do our best with the life we have, because it's probably all we have. I think I lost a couple of kilos while I was painting now. Okay, anyway, good morning and good night from Norway. Yeah. Bye bye.